Joining me now is Democratic Congresswoman Zoe Lofgren of California, who is on the January 6th committee. Congresswoman, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Good morning.
Let me start with your simple reaction to particularly the former president and a couple of people around them disputing certain parts of Cassidy Hutchinson's testimony. And I know not the larger part, but some of the specific details. What do you make of that pushback, Congresswoman?
Well, we always expected Trump world to try and discredit her, and they are not disappointing us in that regard. I thought her testimony was credible. She has nothing to gain by stepping forward and telling the truth, and Trump world has everything to lose by the truth. So they are doing their best to try and attack her, to discredit her. I am not surprised by this effort, but it is not the right thing to do.
Can you describe the efforts the committee makes to corroborate some of the charges Ms. Hutchinson made before she appeared? Did you contact Secret Service, some of these other entities?
Well, we had interviewed Mr. Ornato several times. His memory does not appear to be as precise as hers. We certainly would welcome them to come back if they wish to do that. But her overall testimony that the then president, wanted to go to the Capitol is consistent with other testimony that we have received. Certainly, her testimony that she directly overheard President Trump saying that he didn't care if they had weapons, if the crowd had weapons, that they were not going to hurt him, and that they could march to the Capitol with their weapons after the speech. That was new and stunning, really.
You know, there's always cameras on the presidential motorcade. Have you gotten any footage? It's possible there is footage of the alleged incident in the SUV. Have you guys subpoenaed that footage, whether it's from news organizations or the Secret Service?
Well, we'll look at everything, but I think it's important to note Ms. Hutchinson was relating a story that Mr. Ornato told to her. She wasn't in the vehicle. She didn't see it. She was relating what he told her. The important thing is that no one is disputing that Trump wanted to go to the Capitol. He even said so in his speech. Right. There's a lot of evidence that when he went back to the White House, he still wanted to go to the Capitol, and was certainly well aware of the violence that was going on.
You made a diplomatic response about Mr. Ornato, saying that he seems to not have a precise memory. Congresswoman Stephanie Murphy told me earlier this week that something similar, he did not have clear of memories at that time. Adam Kinzinger went further and he said that Mr. Ornato likes to lie. Let me ask you this. Has Mr. Ornato testified under oath in any of these interviews that you've had with him?
It's important to note that it's if you lie to Congress, it's a crime whether or not you're under oath.
But was he under oath?
It's a crime to lie to Congress when you come in for an interview, whether you come in for a deposition. So I'll say this. Mr. Ornato was a political appointee of President Trump. Right. It raised a lot of eyebrows at the time that unlike all prior Secret Service agents protecting the president, he was then also appointed to be deputy assistant to the president. And so he was involved in clearing the square so the president could hold up a Bible in front of the church. I mean, he was involved in all of that. He's part of Trump world.
No, I understand that. You've been hesitant to confirm or deny whether he's under oath, and I understand what you're saying. It is still a crime to lie to Congress. Is it that you're not sure he was under oath or he was not under oath?
I believe he was under oath. But certainly if he wants to come back and clarify his prior information, he will also be under oath. I think it's a mistake to focus on whether or not he was lying to Ms. Hutchinson when he relayed that story. The fact is The president knew his crowd was armed.
Right.
We heard the Metropolitan Police describing seeing assault weapons on this crowd. He wanted to go down to the Capitol with them. He said that in his speech, and we have a lot of evidence that that was true even when he returned to the White House.
Let me ask you about Pat Sipoloni. You've officially put a subpoena out to him this past week. Why now?
Right.
Why not 2 months ago? Why not 3 months ago? Why not 4 months ago?
We have been engaging with Mr. Sipoloni. He did have an informal interview or discussion. That was all he was willing to do. But there have been ongoing discussions to see if he would come in and talk further. After Ms. Hutchinson's testimony that was so informative, it's very clear that we would like him to come in. Now, I know that he is concerned about executive privilege.
Right.
That's not an absolute immunity. It falls when there is something more important, and that is true in this case. And certainly the current president, Mr. Biden, has waived executive privilege on most occasions when it comes to getting the truth about the events leading up to January 6th.
You want him to come in he's subpoenaed to come in for a deposition on July 6th. Is that going to happen on July 6th?
Well, I hope so. Our intention is to hear from him. And I think given the testimony of Ms. Hutchinson that he was trying to prevent crimes from being committed on that day, I would assume that he would want to come in.
I want to get you to react to this New York Times lead. The federal prosecutors working on the case were just as astonished by Hutchinson's account of former President Donald J. Trump's increasingly desperate bid to hold on to power as other viewers. The panel did not provide them, meaning DOJ, with videos or transcripts of her taped interviews with committee members beforehand, according to several officials, leaving them feeling blindsided. Is that a fair characterization that you blindsided justice on this?
I don't think so. We're not an arm of the Department of Justice. We're a legislative committee. They have subpoena power. They could subpoena Ms. Hutchinson. I'm surprised they had not done so. We interviewed her 4 times. I think that's publicly known at this point. Yeah. And the 4th interview was very compelling. And it's obvious she is being intimidated. People are trying to discredit her. People were trying to dissuade her from testifying. The Trump world was paying for her lawyers, which was very problematic for her. She changed lawyers and got an independent lawyer and then proceeded. I was surprised that the prosecutors were surprised. What are they doing over there? They have a greater opportunity to enforce their subpoenas than our legislative committee does.
At a point some of us were discussing this morning. The last question I would throw at you is the issue of so-called witness tampering. Do you feel like you have enough evidence to prove that is what's happened?
Well, I don't know. That's, charging someone with a crime is not our opportunity. We can't do that. We're a legislative committee. But I will say this. If witnesses are being intimidated, we don't plan to just sit by and allow that to happen. We're going to raise a stink about it. We're going to refer information publicly to the Department of Justice if witnesses are intimidated, because it's a crime. It's a crime to do that.
We're going to see Cassidy Hutchinson testify one more time?
I don't know yet. I always leave the chairman to announce the future hearings.
Congresswoman Zoe Lofgren, a member of the January 6th committee, Democrat from California. Good to see you. Thank you for coming on and sharing your perspective.
Happy 4th of July.
You too.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.